gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of The Best Years of Our Lives, which is the fifth film I have to watch for my classical Hollywood cinema module at university. So this is the fifth one of those, and it's also nearly 3 hours. It's about 2 hours 52 minutes, I think, 51, 52. But that being said, like Gone with the Wind, this film actually has quite a bit of stuff to do. I mean, to start with, it does kind of go a bit slow, not much is happening, but over the course of the film, it's a very character-driven film, and I like that. I like how we're spending so much time with lots of characters. There's quite a few characters, mostly family or friends of particular groups. We've got three main male characters who we follow the lives of. We've got the guy we see at the start. He's some sort of airplane captain. He was a kind of an ice cream stand guy at a mall. He's got this very lovely, pretty wife, but they don't really love each other. And in the end, she decides to leave him because he's not doing financially well. He's got this other guy who's older than him, but he is a slightly lower rank, and he's a bank guy. He goes back to his job as a bank. Working in the bank, however, he's now promoted to letting out loans. He's also got a wife, a son, and a daughter. The daughter's older and the son's still in school. The daughter is also a major character in the film, and the wife actually gets first billing in the credits. The actress does, so that's pretty cool. For 1946, you don't usually see an actress get first billing. Maybe if they're credited alphabetically, but still, maybe are they credited alphabetically? I'm not certain. But alphabetically or not, it's not common for a an actress. But alphabetically or not, it's not common to have women credited first in older films. Later films, of course, especially if they're the main characters. But in older films, not so much. So that's actually quite unique. That's really cool. Especially as this one isn't even the main character. Her husband or one of the other two guys, her husband or the guy already talked about could be considered the main characters. And was also this other guy who's lost his hand in the war, and he was on a ship, and he's now got these kind of claws, pincer things. So he goes back to his family. He's supposed to be marrying this girlfriend who lives next door. However, his hands and the reactions around him kind of depress him quite a lot. He's not certain whether they should go ahead with the wedding, and yeah, everyone is kind of around him is a bit worried, apart from the friends he met earlier. But in the end, everything kind of works out for him, and he marries his girlfriend, and everyone's happy. Well, almost everyone, as there is developments throughout the lives of these other characters that aren't so happy. Like I said, the first guy I talked about, the former ice cream stand guy, his relationship with his wife is a bit rocky, especially towards the end, and in the end they divorce, supposedly. Well, she said they want to divorce, and he's finding it difficult to find a job. He gets a job back at the mall he was working with, selling at the chemists, but then he punches a guy who's talking about, well, at that time it would have been stuff and nonsense, about the war being worthless or something, and I don't mean with lies, I mean money. And yeah, this guy who's just back-mouthing, rudely talking about the system, but not in the way of it needs to change now. It's more of a critical. Actually, I'm not even sure what he meant, but obviously it wasn't very good, which led to the guy with the claw hands kind of getting into an argument with him, and the other guy coming to his defense and then punching him, which means he's fired because it crashes into the counter. He then manages to get himself a job as a junk guy at the end. He also has sort of this kind of romantic relationship with the daughter of the bank guy, but they can't, because he's married, they can't really be together that properly in this whole conflict around the middle. In the second hour. However, by the very end, they are pretty certain they are going to be together again after the divorce of the first guy. Suffice to say that the movie does stop after the wedding, and these two are just saying, "Oh, I'm sure we'll be together" or something, and then it just stops. We don't see that. There isn't even a bouquet of flowers thrown over to the girl, and they look at each other, and we can imply that they are going to get married, or at least be in a relationship. It's just saying, hopefully we will be in a relationship. Yes, this seems to be a thing with some movies, especially older films. They just decide to stop at places. I mean, the wedding itself would have been a good place to finish up anyway, but that whole thing with the guy and the first guy I talked about and the daughter of the bank guy, still kind of left open. So it's not even implied that they'll get together. It's just left open for a potential follow-up. I don't know if this film got a sequel, to be honest. I mean, there's quite a lot of story in here anyway. What else besides wrapping up that end of the story could the sequel do? Apart from maybe focus on the son, because the son of the banker didn't really get much to do. After the first tower, he disappears. He didn't really have an awful importance to the story, but he still just disappears for most of the film. The characters, I just found all the characters great, apart from the wife of the first guy I talked about. I'll call him the mall guy. Because he was an ice cream server at first, and then moved on to the pharmacy. That's it, the pharmacy or drugstore in America. Drugstore guy, and that's also I think he also was back behind that ice cream milkshake sundae stand again when he lost his job. He was on that duty. But okay, I'll just call him the Sundance Kid. I'm joking. I won't do that. Okay, I'll just call him the mall guy. I think he's a good character. I think he's really good. He's got this sort of psychological problem, as does the bank guy, and also the banker guy likes a lot of drink, which causes them a bit of a problem. But I think they're good characters, and also the guy with the claws. I think he's the best written of them, to be honest. And the actor does an amazing job. And I think he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He might even have won, actually. Actually, that's really impressive. I don't know if the actor actually was missing his hands or not. I think he might have been, because there's a scene where they have to take him off. Now, if it was a guy who did have his hands, you could probably hide them in the props. But then you see the ends of the hands for real. So maybe they did hire a guy who didn't have hands and had to use his own claw ones. And it's a really great scene. It's also helps his development with his girlfriend towards the end of the film, just before they get married. And that's pretty much, I think it's just after that they decide, let's go with it. After not being certain whether they should or not. Well, he's not certain. She starts coming around a bit more. I mean, they already were before the war. She's coming more around to help being the wife of a man with clawed hands who lost his hands, basically. But she's still in love with him, so therefore she doesn't really care that much. Does care quite a lot. But she sees, even with him not having any hands and having to have claw hands, then she still loves him. Also think the wife and the daughter of the banker are really great characters. Like I said, the son doesn't really have much to do, but he's alright for the few scenes he does get. The wife of Morgai, holy shit, she's a bitch. It's towards the end at least. I mean, she's not too bad early on. We don't even meet her until about, half an hour to 45 minutes into the film. I'm not certain. But we don't meet her till a little bit later. She seems okay, a little bit tarty, a little bit upper class. Well, not upper class, but a bit more. I mean, the guy seems to be a bit more someone that is a bit too good for the guy she's married to in terms of her looks and maybe not status. Just she could choose anyone, and she chose this guy. But as we go throughout the film, she starts getting a bit more selfish and a bit more clingy and a bit more needy. And then by the end, she's basically a bitch. She is really, really horrible. She's really nasty. And that I actually said out loud, "What a bitch!" when she was in her last scene. She's just so bitchy. I mean, maybe that guy who was in the apartment was a friend and not her secret lover or anything, but she was, and the guy, her husband, kind of was a little bit dickish, but I can still understand where he's coming from, but she was just so bitchy and so horrible, and that's where they get she announces the divorce anyway, wow, what a bitch. She was so horrible, especially as the guy pretty much just put off cheating on her or trying to get with the banker's daughter so that they can have a happy marriage. But no, throw that out the window. And I think the main problem with her is because she wanted money, and her husband wasn't getting a very steady job, and then got fired because of his incident. But yeah, she was so bitchy. She was so horrible in that last scene. I think he actually made the good choice and accepted having the divorce. In fact, actually, I'll say this for the bitchy woman: she made the right choice in suggesting that they should get a divorce, because who would want to be with her after those comments? Oh God, I'd rather go with that banker's daughter. She was a great person. She was really lovely, and yeah, I'd rather be with that girl. In fact, can I get your number, please? I'm joking. Well, I'm not joking about I would get with her if I could, but the whole number thing, of course I can't, because she's a fictional character, and the actress is, if not dead, she's extremely old. This was 1946. Surprisingly, the actress playing her and the actress playing her mother were actually not that much different in age, really. A bit like with Sean Connery and Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but one of them will look younger and the other will look older. In Connery's case, they made him look older. In this film's case, the girl looks slightly younger. Younger enough. She looks like she's in her early 20s. So you can think her parents probably had, if they're in her 40s, then they probably had her when they were in their 20s, perhaps. And yeah, I think she was a good character. I liked her. I thought she was fun. Yeah, that's really about it. Anything else to talk about? Mostly we've been talking about characters. I think there's some pretty good cinematography and some editing. There's kind of some typical ones from the earlier years that kind of feel a bit disjointed. They just have shots from angles and they just put them together and stuff. I think later decades we get a bit more shots and cinematography and editing get a bit more creative later down the line. However, I think as we go along throughout the film, it gets more enjoyable and more improved. However, as we go along throughout the film, I don't really have much of a problem. It's just more those earlier scenes just feel a bit too generic in the earlier filmmaking style. Yeah, I just think this is a good film. Some nice music as well. Not by Max Steiner this time round. We've had 3 films with Max Steiner music so far. Not Rear Window, but King Kong 1933, Gone with the Wind, and the score for Top Hat. Not the songs, but the score were by Max Steiner. Again, like I said, the John Williams of his time, perhaps. But this time, no Max Steiner here. Also, the next film comes out in 1946. So we got 2 films from this year. But anyway, Days of Our Lives. Despite its length, it's actually a really interesting and compelling film. Maybe it could have been chopped down to maybe 2.75 hours, or maybe 2.5 hours. But it's still a really good film. Some really enjoyable stuff and some really great moments. And some great characters. Even the bitchy woman, even the bitchy wife of Morgai is still a pretty good character until she starts getting more bitchy. I suppose if you were to find an antagonist in this film, she would probably be the main antagonist. Probably. That should be the closest. Although a film like this doesn't really need antagonists. Same with Top Hat. I think, again, the closest to that would be the Italian guy. But even then, he's not really a bad person. In this film, the wife is probably bad at the very end, but I wouldn't say evil or villainous. Well, villainous maybe, but not to an extent like trying to murder her husband or trying to kidnap an innocent person and have them as their own prisoner. See Rear Window and King Kong. Anyway, so Days of Our Lives, I think it's a great film, really good. I think it just had to be. I think it could have been a little bit shorter, but you know, I'm not going to have too much of a problem with the runtime for this one. I actually think it works really well at nearly 3 hours. Could have been a little bit shorter, but it's not too bad. It's not like Gone with the Wind, where I think it could have been split into 2 films. Nor does, funnily enough, with King Kong and Top Hat, I actually got a bit more irritated in my seat watching them than the longer films, which is strange. And those 2 are only about an hour and a half or so. This one was nearly 3 hours, but I was more fine watching this one. And I think the reason was because I was invested with the characters. So I'm going to give the film quite a lot of praise, as I'm pretty sure I already did, for its character development and writing. So well done. And the actors all did a brilliant job, especially the guy with the playing the claw claw hands guys, especially if he actually didn't have hands. That's really great. Especially if he didn't really have hands, so he can use that experience in his acting, and he just did a really great job with his character. It's a shame we actually don't get that much time with him or his family and girlfriend and her family, but at least they get a happy ending in the end, so that's really good. So on the whole, I'm going to give The Best Years of Our Lives a 9 out of 10. It's a really great character-driven drama, and despite being a very long film, I actually think it works pretty well. Could have been a bit shorter, but still works really well, and I thought it was handled brilliantly. Not completely perfect, but still brilliant. I think I'm even considering this one to be the best film of the classical Hollywood cinema module films so far, even more so than Rear Window. And Rear Window I've seen 3 times, and I really enjoyed it. I know I'd enjoyed it before watching it again, but I think The Days of Our Lives may top the ranking, may be number 1 on the ranking. We'll see how the next 3 go. Next time will be a film called Gilda, which is about a femme fatale, maybe a kind of a woman you don't want to cross, perhaps, an ex-lover who's now dating this rich, powerful guy or something. I'll be checking that film out next week. The next film I'll be doing on the Retro channel will be the 5th X-Men film, X-Men First Class. So tune in for that, and tune in for Gilda and other reviews coming up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Okay, we're starting the Retro channel reviews now of the recordings of the day. No, sorry, that's wrong. It's The Days of Our Lives. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of The Days of Our Lives. Holy shit! Oh, this is important news. Cut this bit, I'll come back to it. Anyway, but she still falls in love. Not by Max Steiner, not Rear Window, the other 3. No, Force. It's, Force. Yeah. Not Max Steiner, but 3. But anyways, could have been a little bit shorter, but I think it's fine as it is. And I think the thing is, the thing that they nailed. So on the whole, I'm going to give The Days of Our Lives. This is a really brilliant, character-driven drama from the 1940s, and I think it could actually be the best one of this. I might even consider this one which is about a femme fatale. I think, and we'll be having a look at